St. Paul, by all appearances, was a fiery preacher, a very strong personality, certainly a leader in the early church. He was called the church's first theologian. Wonderful insights, a very intelligent and wise man. And yet, as you know from reading about St. Paul, he had created a lot of enemies. Perhaps some he brought on himself, perhaps others were just those who wanted to persecute him and make his life rough. Today's reading is from the book of Romans. It is his most highly developed piece of theology. In it, we see Paul as pastor, as good shepherd. You see what he's done is he's taken his intelligence, and even more than that, he's taken his experience of the resurrected Christ and translated it into very practical wisdom. It's one thing to have general ideas and great theology about God, about Jesus, about the church. It's another thing to put it into practice. And so in this particular reading, we have some very practical ways of living out the essential core commandment of Christ. And that is to love God with your whole being and to love your neighbor as yourself. And Paul, much like today, began to notice that most people didn't quite get it. And so he's made it very clear. This is what it's like to love as you've been loved. That's why we hear these things that seem pretty obvious, but obviously it wasn't obvious to Paul's listeners and the communities that he was writing to. Today, we often can compartmentalize our life, is the word we've used today. And that is, this is my church, I do all my prayer, I do all my good works, I minister, I serve at all those things, and oh yeah, here's my public life, here's my work life, here's my family life. Paul is saying, very dangerous, very dangerous. Is that we forget when we do that Jesus, as truly God-man, brought together in his own person the material world and the spiritual world. This isn't just the mystery of what we call the hypostatic union, but this is the way we, as followers of Christ, are to live our life. To bring together the details of our life, material reality, and our deep faith together. And in that struggle, that challenge to truly live that unitive life, we always keep our heart, our eyes in Christ, and in the experience of this love, this life. This is why for Paul, to summarize his theology, speaks about life as participation. It's not life as an observer. It's not life as, well, I can't do that. It's saying, Lord, thank you for calling me in service, in ministry, as a full participant in your life. And so that's why we've been invited to spend it. That we might get it, and we might become that which we celebrate, that which God has given us through the gift of his Son, Jesus.